Hello and welcome to my Think Fertility podcast. My name is Abby Twomlow and I am a psychologist, an anxiety specialist and a fertility hypnotherapist. So welcome. If it's your first time joining us, welcome to the podcast. I hope you find it interesting. I'm going to try and keep it quite short. If you're listening now, perhaps you're somewhere already along your fertility journey, perhaps you're just about to start. Let me know where you are. Wherever you are, I know how heavy and emotional it can feel. Trust me, I'm the mum of two beautiful IVF babies myself after 7 rounds, so I do really understand how you feel. It's why I do what I do. But this week we are going to look at how fertility struggles often affect your self-esteem. So I'm kind of linking my fertility therapist hat with my psychologist hat this week. Because it's a big problem and something that we're not prepared for when we start this journey, which is how those fertility struggles can often impact your self-esteem, and why the link is so important to understand, because it doesn't have to be the case. So I suppose let's start by thinking about why it matters. Something that I find to be quite often the case with my clients is that someone comes feeling broken, like they've been let down by their body, like their body isn't doing what it's expected to do. I think most people go into IVF already feeling a little bit like that, because you've been trying already, and you already kind of feel a bit disheartened that your body's not doing what it's supposed to. So you're already in that frame of mind before you get started, and then especially if you're having multiple treatments, that's a feeling that can grow and grow, that it's just something is wrong with you. It's not working how you're expecting it to work. And this kind of goes hand in hand or side by side as well by comparing yourself to other people. I think when you feel broken, when you feel like that, you often try and make sense of that by comparing yourself to other people. Friends, family, other people on Facebook groups, stuff like that, who just seem to conceive really easily. And that then builds on that feeling that there must be something wrong with you, because it's called a cognitive bias. It's when you are looking for more of something that you see more of it. So definitely when you are trying to get pregnant, you will see more pregnant people. It's just how your brain works. It's what your brain is picking up on, and that just makes it more difficult to stop comparing yourself with others, really, especially those who seem to find it really easy. Because fertility doesn't just affect your body. It's not just about your body, and often going through treatment feels very physical. It feels like you're being processed, that your body has been put through these stages. But we don't really consider the emotional impact, and specifically today talking about self-esteem, that impact on how you see yourself, your worth even, and even your identity. You know, for a lot of people, you've waited your whole life for this. You can't imagine your life without having children, and you start to wonder what value your life has got if it doesn't work or when it's not working. So it can have a really big impact, and that can then lead to things like depression and low mood and other problems too. So let's look at some different ways that fertility struggles do impact your self-esteem, because I think people assume that self-esteem is something that's set. It's just part of your personality, it's part of who you are, or that it's been impacted by things outside of yourself. So people often think that having low self-esteem is because of external things outside of themselves, so other people, past experiences, even the weather can impact how people feel. So what is self-esteem? That's a question to ask as well, because a lot of people think that self-esteem is how you feel about yourself, but that's kind of the end point. So your self-esteem is the thoughts and beliefs you have about yourself at any given moment. And self-esteem can actually be quite changeable. If I asked you how you were feeling when you were lying on a beach with a cocktail in your hand somewhere, your self-esteem would probably be quite good. If I asked you how you were feeling when you've just found out that your 4th round of IVF has failed, then your self-esteem is probably going to be pretty low. So self-esteem is quite changeable. It's almost like a rechargeable battery. It can be boosted and it can be drained. But How it's boosted and drained is something that we have more control over than we think, because we often put it down to things that we have very little control over. And the problem with that is your self-esteem is being constantly drained by things you cannot do anything about. So what we need to develop is that feeling that we manage our own self-esteem, and we can keep our own self-esteem good even when things around us aren't going well. But let's have a little look at how fertility struggles can impact your self-esteem. And this is definitely looking at those external factors. So the first one is that sense of failure. And again, this is a belief. The belief tends to come from, well, if I can't conceive naturally, or if it's not working, then I'm failing. But you have to stop and ask yourself, is that true? The reality is fertility is really complex. It's much more difficult than we understand, and actually even consultants and the top people that work in this area, there are still many mysteries to fertility. It's not that simple. There's a lot of it that's down to nature, that's down to biology that we still don't understand, or that we just have very little of control over, even when we do understand it. What it's not is a personal reflection of your value as a human. It says nothing about you as a person or your worth. It's a complex, biological, scientific process that isn't personal. It just feels that way sometimes. The next one is that comparison trap I was talking about earlier. So when you see other people that are pregnant, having that internal feeling, well, if they've done it, then there must be something wrong with me. And it's that inner voice, isn't it, talking to you all the time, criticising you. It's like that little devil on your shoulder that's just permanently got something unhelpful to say, and that makes you feel low, it makes you feel out of control. It's really not helpful. And I suppose there's a risk that social media kind of intensifies that cycle as well. You know, especially when the algorithms are picking up on pregnancy or groups that it might think are helpful, and you're seeing more of that. Or, you know, forums are really helpful in some ways, but when you're seeing lots of people going through treatment and getting those positives all the time, that can then kick off those feelings again. Well, there must be something wrong with me. The other thing that can lower your self-esteem is that loss of control, that feeling of having no control, because when you go through fertility treatment, it's that constant waiting for the next step. It's that medical protocol. There's no certainty. You know, the success rates in IVF, there's certainly not 100%. 25% is good, really. And yet we go into it with such a massive amount of hope and expectation. But when it's being done to you and you feel like you have no control, that can definitely lower your self-esteem. It can lower your confidence because it's not something you are taking charge of. And it can almost create like a sense of urgency as well, especially when you're having rounds that have failed. And the next area that will drain that battery is that lack of identity as well, and that questioning of your self-worth. So many people feel like motherhood, parenthood is part of their identity. It's something that they just imagine from a really young age. And to suddenly have that as not a possibility is daunting. So when you are struggling, it can lead to you questioning your value or your purpose, and you become really engulfed in the process, and you sort of forget that life exists outside of that. So you kind of get into this downward spiral with all of these things, of that energy being sapped out of that self-esteem battery, if you like. So how can we rebuild and sort of protect our self-esteem? Because it's really important that we manage it. Our self-esteem doesn't have to be impacted by these external things. In fact, what you really want is tough, resilient self-esteem, so that you can keep feeling good regardless of what's happening around you. And that's not to say that there's not going to be dinks and dips in that when you get that negative pregnancy test, when, you know, the finances hitting hard. Of course those are going to be there, but we don't need it to be these massive waves and dips in your self-esteem if you can manage it yourself. So the first tool that I would definitely recommend is rethinking that self-talk. I just mentioned about that little devil on your shoulder constantly saying, I'm broken. I can't do it. It's not working. There's something wrong with me. Make sure you recognize when you're thinking those things, first of all, and try and combat that with a more helpful voice. Actually, I'm going through something really difficult. This process doesn't define who I am as a person. I'm not broken. It just hasn't happened for me yet. I'm doing everything within my power. Swap it for something. It doesn't even have to be really positive. It just has to be something helpful that makes you feel more grounded or more in control. My second tip would definitely be celebrate the small positives. We can get so honed in on what's not going well, what's not going right, what's going wrong, what's you're finding difficult, that we forget that there's lots of other things that are going really well in our life. So try and notice those small positives, especially within your journey, but I'll come back to that in a minute. So notice when you're being resilient, when you've attended an appointment and you feel like you've asked the right questions, or you've turned up despite feeling terrified, that you've asked the right questions, that you've got your point across, that you've dug a little bit deeper, that you've coped with waiting for something. Just those little resilience points will make you feel more able to cope. The second area where you need to celebrate those positives is outside your fertility journey. This is really important because, again, you can get really honed in on it. So actually make a point of intentionally finding those moments of connection with other people. Notice when you've had fun or you've done something to relax. It builds that confidence and those coping strategies outside of that treatment, and it can keep your battery topped up regardless of what's happening. So write them down. I went for a coffee with my mum. I met up with my best friend. I took my niece to the park. Me and my partner went on a weekend away. I tried something new from a takeaway I've never had. They don't have to be big things. The little things count, anything positive, and write them down and just keep a track of the things that make you feel good and make a point of doing more of them and planning those in specifically. And then the last one is be kind to your body. Your brain and your body go hand in hand. Your body listens to your brain all of the time. Your imagination leads your body a huge amount. Have you ever watched a horror movie and then you've gone to bed and your heart's racing, or you think you can hear noises downstairs? That's not because there's something there. It's because your body is responding to your imagination. It does it all the time without us noticing. And this is what fertility hypnosis really is all about. So if you are treating your body with kindness, compassion, rather than giving it a hard time all the time, if you are encouraging gentle movement, if you are making sure that you find time to relax, if you're nurturing it and nourishing it, and trying to keep your thoughts in control, even if they don't have to be overly positive, but find those moments of joy and feeling good, your body will respond to that. So I just want you to take a minute, and I want you to put your hand on your chest. You can close your eyes if you like. And I just want you to take a breath. So you're going to breathe in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And breathe out. 2, 3, 4. And I just want to give you a reminder that you are not defined by your fertility. That you are worthy and wholesome exactly as you are. And if you have a pen and paper to hand, I want you to write down right now one strength that you've shown recently in your journey. Whether that's before or after, if you started IVF or you've just been trying naturally, write down one strength that you've shown recently. It might be how well you've coped with something. It might be how well you've challenged something. It might be that you've kept positive about something. Anything at all. I'll give you a second to do that now. Okay, I hope you managed to think of something. But just to recap, fertility struggles often chip away at your self-esteem, but that's not permanent. You have control over your self-esteem if you just learn how to do it. Your worth, your value is not defined by that pregnancy test. Your self-esteem is something that can be built moment by moment, thought by thought. So make your thoughts count. Make your time count. It's not about slogging away at cutting out caffeine, having your vitamins, all that. It's about calm, control, and looking after your thoughts as much as your body. So I hope you found this interesting. If you don't follow me already at Think Fertility, then please do. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. So look up Think Fertility, you'll find me there. If you want to join my emailing list to get more tips, blog posts, things like that, please just drop me your email address and I'll add you to the list. And if it is that you are really struggling with your self-esteem and you're feeling really overwhelmed and out of control, then please get in touch. This is what I do. I'm here to support you. I'm here to make sure that your mind and your body are working together and that they're in the best possible place for success. And I help many, many people to get pregnant by getting their brain and their body in line. So if that is something you're interested in, please let me know. I do offer a free 30-minute chat, so I can tell you a little bit more about it. You can tell me more about your journey, and there's absolutely no obligation. It's just to find out some more. So that's us done. Keep your eye out for the next one. The next one will be coming next week. And if you are on my follow list, then you'll be getting a follow-up email to this as well with the reminders of those hints and tips, a little bit more in-depth information, and keep your eye out for any special offers coming your way as well. Thanks for joining me today. See you soon.